Hi, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Plymouth. I am your host and your town manager, Derek Brindisi. This evening, we have a very special guest. Her name is Andrea Dickinson. Andrea, nice to have you.
Thank you for having me, Derek.
So, Andrea, before we jump into the topic, just a little bit about yourself. You currently serve on Sustainable Plymouth, which is doing a lot of work around climate action planning, right? And then formerly served in Open Space Committee, correct?
Yeah, so I'm still on the Open Space Committee, former vice chair, and I've been part of Sustainable Plymouth since that organization launched in 2017.
Great. And I know that Michael Cahill, who's our climate resiliency planner, will be presenting in a few weeks the new climate action plan that you guys have been working on. So
yeah,
very excited.
That's through the CANS committee, the Climate Action Net Zero Decarbonization Committee, and they'll be presenting at the Select Board meeting on May 21st.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's CANS. Okay, so we're here to talk a lot about the hometown cleanup, which is coming up on May 17th and May 18th. But before we get into the specifics around the cleanup day or days, can you give us a little bit of history about the cleanup?
Sure. So the cleanup in Plymouth has been going on since 2010. So it's been going on twice a year for 14 years. And we've been very lucky to have the town's support. Patrick Farah and the planning department has been instrumental, as well as DPW. They've been a great help in offering this cleanup 2 times a year across the town. Did you want me to get any more into the details?
Well, I mean, you talked a little bit about, the history about this, but I think specifically folks are really who are interested in this, right? They're gonna want to learn more about the details around, how do I get involved, for example? So if I want to participate in hometown cleanup, like what would I do?
Sure. So we tried to streamline it a little bit this year, so we can actually do signups online. So there's a shortened URL. It's tinyurl.com/cleanupplymouth. And it's all a Google form, so people can indicate there what area they'd like to clean up, how many bags they need, and it just goes directly to the town. DPW can see that, so they know where to pick up the bags, the filled bags. And then before the cleanup, people can just go to the 3rd floor town hall, the planning office, to pick up those purple trash bags. And it's important to use the purple trash bags so DPW will see those and recognize that they're part of the cleanup.
So just to recap, so first of all, I think given the URL you just described, tinyurl.com/cleanupplymouth. I don't know if it's on the town website yet, but I think we should.
I think it is.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
So it's on the website. Folks can go to the website at www.plymouth-ma.gov, and they can see how to sign up for this program. So after they sign up, you mentioned going to the 3rd floor of Town Hall and over at the planning department, I would imagine, and asking to see Patrick Farah, correct?
Yep, they're handing out the purple bags there.
Okay, and so the purple bags, do you have any history on the purple bags? Because I have a kind of a story about the purple bags.
Weren't they used by the transfer station a while back?
So it's interesting because I believe back in like 2005 time period, the town was going through a new solid waste program, and they purchased hundreds of thousands of purple bags. And then from what I was told, what ended up happening is the project couldn't move forward, so the town got stuck with all these purple bags. So which is why the townwide cleanup has purple bags, because they're bags that we purchased almost 20 years ago. Ironically, though, and so they're all stored at the old water barn on Long Pond Road. I was there last summer and saw all these purple bags, and now we're actually using all these purple bags in every town building because we have all these purple bags, and honestly would probably last us another 10 to 15 years. We have so many of them. So instead of using taxpayer dollars to buy different bags, we're just going to use the purple ones. So you'll see purple bags everywhere.
I've seen those in the bathroom at Town Hall. Yeah,
exactly. So we know where folks can go to pick up their purple bags. Once they sign up, should they focus in on their neighborhood, or are there very specific areas that you as a longtime organizer would encourage folks to participate in, because it's just areas where these hot spots of litter and trash?
So Plymouth definitely has plenty of litter hotspots. It's really up to the person signing up. Some people choose to clean up their neighborhood, their local park, maybe someplace where their kids play soccer, their local beach. But if you are looking for an area that has a pervasive litter issue and you don't see one driving around that you want to focus on, when you go to the URL to sign up, there's a link in there for a Google Doc that's populated with litter hotspots. And Patrick and my colleague Ken Stone went out recently to validate those spots because we've had a running list for the past couple years.
Really?
And so they drove around recently to update it. So that list is available on the link.
Okay, so folks can go there and they can choose one of these locations that the hotspots.
And for the past as many cleanups as I can remember, I've been involved since 2017. As long as I've been involved, Red Brook has done their own large cleanup as part of the townwide cleanup. So has Pine Hills, a group in Six Ponds. So there are like established like sub cleanups that all operate on the same day. So some people might want to join one of those existing ones,
Gotcha.
but they don't need to. They could, like the first year when I was involved just as a participant, I just went out by myself. So there's no group too big or too small.
Okay, so that makes sense. So it sounds like there are already some well-established organized groups that are already participating in this program.
Yes.
But I do want to cover a topic. You mentioned, these hotspots. We have a program on our website. If you go on the town's website, it says report a concern, right? So if you click on this link, report a concern, it takes you to a program that we instituted about a little over a year ago called See, Click, Fix. And so this is a program where we encourage our residents to go there. If they see a pothole, they could log into the system, report the pothole. Or if they see graffiti, they can log into the system and report the graffiti. And not only does it get routed to the correct department, but the department also gives you a response. So in case of graffiti, they'll let you know that the graffiti has been removed, or a pothole, the pothole has been fixed. We have recently created a litter drop-down as well. So although it's very important that we have a hometown cleanup on May 17th and 18th, this doesn't stop, right? It's not just 2 days a year, right? We really want to empower our residents to try to help us keep the town neat and clean throughout the year, and that's one way to do that as
Exactly, yeah. It was very exciting when the litter category was added to See, Click, Fix. I think especially for like major dumping spots, like major illegal dumping spots. I know throughout the year, Department of Energy and the Environment as well as DPW send crews out, and they do a fantastic job, but Plymouth is a very large town. Some areas you clean up the litter and not long after, it's filled up again. And so I think, these twice a year cleanups are a good way for townspeople to get together and help the existing efforts of the town to take some responsibility for our neighborhoods.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, 17th and 18th, those are two one's a Saturday, one's a Friday. Typically on these types of cleanups, you'd see it all weekend long. But this year you guys focus a little bit on a Friday. Is there a specific reason that it's going to be on a Friday? So
for the past many years, it's been a one-day cleanup in the fall, a one-day cleanup in the spring. We really wanted to expand it this year. Some days people really want to participate, but they may have a conflict one day. We do it rain or shine. Some days maybe the Saturday's rainy, people want to go out a different day. And so we wanted to just give people a little bit more flexibility. And so we worked with Tim Balboni and DPW to establish what would be the best second day to add, whether it be the Friday or the Sunday. And so we decided to go with a Friday, Saturday. I know there's plenty of retired folks where the school day or work day doesn't matter so much. So I know Pine Hills is doing theirs on that Friday. And so either way, DPW will be out there on Sunday picking up the filled bags. And we're just hoping that perhaps more people can participate with the extended time frame.
So just so I'm clear, I sign up and I choose my neighborhood, I fill out my purple bag. My data's been entered into the system, so DPW knows where the bag is. And so if I fill out my bag on a Friday, when will that get picked up? Will that get picked up on Saturday, or does the DPW wait for both the Friday and Saturday cleanups to end and then pick everything up on Sunday?
They pick everything up on Sunday.
Okay. So those folks that are picking up trash on Friday, they just need to know that it's going to be 48 hours before their bags will be picked up.
Yeah, and when people go to the link to sign up, there's a field to enter where they're going to be cleaning up, and then a field to enter where they're planning to leave the bags. So as long as it's an area where DPW can maneuver a truck, it doesn't need to be along a main road. But for example, say I'm cleaning up White Horse Beach. I might put White Horse Beach as the area I'm cleaning up, but I might put the pickup spot as like the intersection of Taylor Ave with one of the other roads so that DPW knows where to go.
Right. Okay. So that makes sense. And like you said, they're big, bright purple bags, so they should be able to be easily identified. What about hours of operation? Is this open-ended as far as when folks can do this? It doesn't matter?
So that's one of the benefits of the townwide cleanup, where it's kind of defined however people want to define it. I mean, if you want to go out at 4 a.m. or midnight, like you could go out at any time. Like for example, the neighborhood that I live in is doing a cleanup on this day, and they're advertising it for the Saturday from 10 to noon. So if you want to do your own cleanup, you could kind of identify whatever hours. If you want to go in the morning for 20 minutes, you can. If you want to spend all afternoon, you can. So any time or day, just have the bags out and ready for DPW on Sunday.
Have you guys ever done an analysis at the end of these cleanups of how many bags or tons of trash that have been picked up?
I think that DPW does a weighing of like the tonnage,
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah.
We'd really like to be able to do like a thorough audit of what's collected, which would be just a massive project to collect all those bags, dump them all out, and assess it all.
Yeah, right.
So that's something we're still kind of toying with, like how best to approach like a more thorough litter audit.
Sure.
But I'm pretty sure DPW does a weighing. And other than that, the best way we can get a count is how many bags we give out. But Tim
Right.
Balboni would probably have more information about what they'd be able to do.
Yeah, so I want to pick up on that, this litter audit and what that means. But before I do, one thing we're doing to try to incentivize town employees, and I'm working with the Human Resources Department right now, is that if folks sign up for the townwide cleanup, we're going to give them compensation time off.
That's great.
Right? Yeah,
That's
so you know, somebody can go volunteer 8 hours on a Saturday, and then as long as they have it approved by their department head, they can come in on Monday and say, listen, I just did 8 hours doing townwide cleanup and get 8 hours off. So
That's fantastic.
we're trying to encourage more participation by our employees as well.
That's great.
But getting to the litter audit, because you mentioned looking at, you know, a lot of the materials that are being picked up. What about NIPS? You know, NIPS was a big topic of discussion during the fall town meeting. Then I think we had a binding referendum question that was posed in January. Are we still seeing problems with NIPS being discarded?
Well, this will be the first townwide cleanup since the vote. And I know the liquor stores recently coordinated their own cleanup, which is great that they're trying to be part of the solution, the joint solution. You know, we were doing a NIP audit for the last 4 cleanups, I believe it was,
Okay.
because that stood out early on as one of the top litter items we were seeing. We are not doing a litter audit for NIPS this round. I think, you know, we'd be open to circling back to some more broader litter audit, not specifically NIPS, but I mean the proposed ban on NIPS sales in Plymouth passed fall town meeting, but it was rescinded through the referendum vote. So I think that kind of speaks for itself as far as like the appetite in the community. So I think it would still be interesting down the line to see what is like the most pervasive litter items. I think, you know, when you're cleaning up litter in certain areas, it's interesting to see what the trends are. You know, you may identify one type of cup or something like that that you're like, oh, okay, this person clearly drives by here. It's part of their routine.
Right.
So it's interesting to see the smaller trends and the larger trends, and to maybe brainstorm about what kind of solutions there might be even just in your own neighborhood.
Yeah, no, those are great ideas. And anything Town Hall can do to try to help mitigate the ongoing litter problem. It's not just an issue in Plymouth, but it's an issue everywhere. You know, I had the opportunity to go to Shishigahama last August, and they don't have public trash barrels in Japan. In fact, if you're carrying around a plastic water bottle, you're expected to bring that home and throw it away. Very different than here in the U.S., where you're expected to either throw in the trash barrel, and if you don't have a trash barrel, people just throw it out the window, which is why we have this litter problem. I didn't see any litter in Japan at all because of their culture. But before we wrap up, one thing that I'm very interested in is shops. That's a hazardous material, poses significant risk. What should folks be aware of, and what should they have to know when we deal with shops if they come across a shop when they're picking up?
So if you come across sharps, anything hazardous, don't pick it up. So there's a number listed. It's 508 888-322-3374. That goes to Patrick Farah. So if anything hazardous is found, if you call that number, it's also linked in the sign-up link. He will come, flag it, dispose of it properly. We definitely don't want people pricking themselves or putting themselves in any harm.
Sure.
So be careful with that.
Do you have any data on shops?
There's certain areas where people find them more often than others. Sure. Like one of the bus stations, I believe. But in all the years that I've participated, I've actually never found one. So it's certain areas, it's more common than others. But especially if like kids are participating or something like that, you want to make sure, not touching broken glass or rusty things, wear gloves. Some people invest in their own like litter picker-uppers, those sticks. But we definitely want to make sure people are being safe. And we actually also have safety vests available at Town Hall for volunteers. If you'd like to grab a safety vest, you could get those at the 3rd floor of Town Hall along with the plastic bags.
That's a great idea. One thing that the Select Board has asked of the administration is about a month ago now. We've always had a shops disposal program that is operated out of Station 1 Fire Headquarters, and it was very popular, but the machine kept breaking down. So collectively with our fire department and our Health and Human Services department, both departments are getting together to develop a more comprehensive, robust shops disposal program that'll be in place year-round. So,
that's great.
Certainly that's primarily for folks that use medication through through a needle, but doesn't solve the problem of say IV drug use or something and needles being disposed of improperly. So it's important for folks to pay attention, as you pointed out, that they don't get a needle stick because that will cause you to go to the hospital immediately. So before we break, how often do we have this program? Is this once a year, twice a year, the cleanup program?
So since 2010, the cleanup has taken place every fall and every spring, so 2 times a year. It's usually just one day. We're trying out the 2 days this year, so we may continue with the 2 days. Every year, the fall is usually a smaller turnout. Spring is usually our stronger, bigger showing, and we have anywhere from 50 to 250 people who show up. So every year we're trying to get it to be bigger and better and get more schools and groups, churches, businesses involved. So hopefully this year will be even bigger.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So folks that can't attend May 17th and 18th, just know we're going to have another one in the fall, and we'll keep running that cycle. So Andrea, thank you for coming on. This was very helpful. I'm sure folks will sign up, and hopefully it's more than the 250 we had last year. So folks that are still interested in this program, go to the town's website at www.plymouth-ma.gov. Look for the townwide cleanup URL and sign up for May 17th and 18th.